Ricardo revisa, raza.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a una emisión más de Ricardo Revisa. Y en esta ocasión tengo un invitado muy especial desde Canadá. Su nombre es Arturo y aquí
Hola.
lo tengo al lado mío. Arthur, welcome to Mexico and it's a pleasure to talk to you. Bienvenido a México y es un placer hablar contigo.
Thank you for having me. It's been my dream to be here. I've seen the Ricardo Revisa show before, and I couldn't wait to just jump on here and share my thoughts with you and your followers.
Básicamente dice que está contento de estar aquí y que ve el show. Entonces era algo que él quería hacer desde hace tiempo. Entonces está contento de estar aquí con nosotros y pues platicarnos un poco de lo que él hace allá en Canadá y lo que hace aquí en México. So, first question would be like, what brought you to Mexico this time? Tell me all about it.
All right.
Sorry. ¿Qué te trajo a México en esta ocasión? Cuéntame, platícame.
Well, I came here on a trip to see a friend, and her and I just got a little bit more serious. So,
Like a friend or like a special friend?
like a friend who's a female, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Vino a ver a una amiga y le digo, amiga, sí, es una amiga.
Yeah, so at first I came to Playa del Carmen. I went there for a 7-day vacation.
So vino a Playa del Carmen por 7 días.
Now, I have to say this, that it was probably the worst decision I've made to only come for 7 days
Fue una
because,
muy mala decisión solo venir 7 días.
yeah, because there's so much that Mexico has to offer, especially in the Yucatan Peninsula and all over Mexico. And I, only got a sample of that.
Dice porque 7 días no es suficiente porque hay mucho que ver en toda la República, obviamente también en la península de Yucatán. So, what have you done so far in Mexico? ¿Qué has hecho en México de momento?
The first time that I came there, we did all the Caribbean activities. So the cenotes, the beaches, anything that you would do like in Cancun, Tulum, and Playa del Carmen. So I did that first. My second trip, which has been this one right now, it's been about almost 3 weeks to about a month long. And what I told myself is this.
Second. Él dijo que en la primera vez que vino hizo todo lo que es de Yucatán, los cenotes y esas cosas, playas. Y en esta segunda ocasión, o sea, en la primera ocasión fue una semana, y en esta ocasión ya lleva 3 semanas y va a terminar siendo como de un mes o algo así. So, what have you done during your second visit?
So what I've told myself on this visit is what I wanted to do is I just wanted to learn about regular Mexican life. Like to the core, what the family life is like, what is the economic situation, what is just a regular day for a Mexican here. And then that's exactly what we're going to talk about today is just, what I learned through this, my experience and my trip.
Dice que en esta segunda visita lo que quiere aprender es cómo es la vida del mexicano promedio. No quiere estar tanto en esa vida de hoteles y resorts, no. Quiere ver cómo es la vida en México, la vida en familia, la vida entre amigos. So, meaning like, you want to see what the real Mexicans live like?
Absolutely, because,
family life?
Absolutely, because when we go as North Americans to, let's say, Mexico, the first thing we think about is go to Cancun, go to a resort. But the problem is that's a little gimmicky and it's artificial.
Yeah.
I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to the real organic Mexico and learn how everything is organized and how people live.
Dice que un problema de cuando los americanos o canadienses van a resorts, hoteles de esos de lujo, es de que todo es muy falso, es artificial. Y él no quiere eso. Él ya está cansado de eso y ahora quiere ver qué pasa en el pueblo exactamente. So, what are the kind of things you're looking forward to? ¿Qué cosas te gustaría hacer en estos días? O what have you done already? Tell me your experiences in the last few days. Dime de lo que has hecho en los últimos días exactamente.
Absolutely. It was regular stuff, believe it or not. I'm not going to be here, telling you that I did really anything crazy. It would be something as simple as, going to a grocery store, going to buy food so I can, make it, interacting with the locals, just walking down streets that locals would walk down, going to bars that locals would go to, and just experiencing that, and also doing the activities that they do, the traditional things. One of the things I've been to ranches, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a lot of different kind of horses, chickens, animals, and see how they incorporate that as part of their culture.
Dice que no ha hecho nada demasiado loco, simplemente ir a las tiendas, comer en restaurantes locales, interactuar con la gente. Ahora ya conoció algunos ranchos, entonces ya sabe un poco de la vida de rancho, los animales, cómo la gente interactúa con los animales y los hace parte de su vida, cosas de ese estilo. Actually, I think this is a good time, es un buen momento to tell them, decirle a nuestro auditorio, how we met. You know, that's a funny story.
Yeah.
¿Cómo nos conocimos exactamente? Porque ya tiene tiempo. It was some time ago.
I think it was 2008.
So that's hace 12 años.
You were at Lakehead University, and I was studying at Lakehead University too in Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Estábamos estudiando los dos en Lakehead University en Ontario.
I come from a Polish family, so I decided that I want to be part of. There wasn't a Polish, group there, but I wanted something that was relatively close, a culture or a group that likes to eat well, likes to dance, likes to party well, and loves to just have fun, And that's where I stumbled upon the Latin group. It was something that was very close to like what I experienced in my family life.
Sí, dice, él es canadiense de nacimiento, pero tiene raíces polacas. Y aunque no lo crean, lo que me está diciendo es de que el grupo que más se le asemeja a la cultura de la que él viene, de la que está familiarizada, que les gusta comer bien, que les gusta bailar, que les gusta divertirse y pasarla bien, dijo, me voy a juntar con los latinos. Entonces se unió al grupo del Latin Club.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Se unió al Latin Club y ahí como lo ven, este muchacho es un excelente bailarín. So, I don't know if he looks like, but he's a very good dancer actually.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my secret.
Yeah.
I don't tell anybody about that.
Yeah, that's unexpected, but it's actually true.
Yeah, maybe. I'm going to let other people find out.
Yeah. Okay. ¿Qué es lo que hacías allá en Canadá antes de venir aquí a México en este último viaje? So what were you doing in Canada right before you came to Mexico this time?
Well, I was a student studying for my legal license to become a lawyer, basically.
Estaba estudiando porque quiero obtener la licencia para ser abogado.
As a summer business, I was also a painter, so I did, basically construction work as being self-employed. So that gave me basically the flexibility to travel and to actually really learn and develop myself, as a human being, right?
Okay, one second.
And that's finding it about cultures, right?
Yeah, lo que dice es que él, mientras está aplicando o tratando de sacar su licencia como abogado, pues como trabajos de verano, él estaba también haciendo trabajos de construcción, mantenimientos y pintura. Entonces, eso le dio a él la flexibilidad para, por un lado, trabajar en él mismo y, por lo que veo, también para viajar un poquito. What you have been working on, specifically, when it comes to personal development? ¿Qué clase de trabajo has hecho para desarrollo personal?
Yeah, so I've just been doing a lot more reading in business investing books. I've gone during this coronavirus period. I've done a lot of Zoom call meetings with like lawyer groups in different parts of North America, just so I can learn from their mentality.
Dice que está estudiando libros y llamadas en Zoom con otros abogados de todo Norteamérica.
And also from other business professionals. Like everything's been sort of online, and just learning from these professionals through these Zoom calls basically, and that's been kind of like my big personal development secret recently.
¿Cómo es que consigues esas llamadas por Zoom con profesionales del medio? How do you get to be in those Zoom calls with professionals?
Exactly. So the way I found it was, they would advertise themselves on like Instagram, and Facebook, and they would say, "Hey, join me for this, this very important meeting on Zoom or on Clubhouse or on Facebook Live or something like that." And I can tell you right now that I've learned from many different kinds of professionals, and they've been very accessible because it's something that is very new.
Él dice que básicamente ha estado buscando a profesionales de su medio, que es leyes, y que ellos mismos se promocionan, que dicen, les voy a pasar imagino que es un link. Do they give you a link?
Yeah, they give you a link to the Zoom call and a password and a user login, basically. So.
O sea, les dan los datos para que se puedan unir a llamadas de Zoom, pero son ellos mismos los profesionales los que están promocionándose, tratando de llegar a más gente como él, que también quiere aprender más del tema. So what do they gain when they give you access to those kind of Zoom calls? ¿Qué ganan los abogados profesionales? Antes una pequeña nota. No sé si saben, tal vez lo sepan, probablemente ya lo saben muchos de los que están viendo este video, pero el trabajo de abogado en Estados Unidos y Canadá es diferente un poquito del trabajo de abogado aquí en México, en el sentido de que en Estados Unidos y Canadá un abogado es comparable con un doctor en términos de cuánto estudio tienen que llevar. O sea, tienen que primero tener una carrera y ya después de la carrera hacen medicina o hacen leyes. I'm telling them that it's a little bit different the way law and let's say medicine is handled in Canada and America in comparison to Mexico. Because in order for you to become a lawyer, first you need a degree and then to get into law school.
Yes, that is the way it works in North America. Yeah. However, I wouldn't have to take that route because I did my education in England. Now, people who do it anywhere else other than North America only really require high school. And that also goes for med school as well. So you go from high school to medical school, or high school to law school, or veterinary school, or dentistry, whatever.
But you had a degree before law?
I did, of course. I did it at Lakehead University.
What was your degree there?
It was in business.
In business.
Administration.
Administration, okay. So dice que antes de que una manera es primero tener el grado y luego irte a la escuela de leyes o de medicina, pero él no exactamente hizo eso, sino que se fue a Inglaterra a estudiar. Entonces se fue a Inglaterra a estudiar leyes y pues ahorita está tratando de conseguir su licencia para ser abogado en Canadá. So you went to England and now you're back to Canada and want to get your license as a lawyer in Canada.
Absolutely.
What have you found surprising during your visit to Mexico? ¿Qué has encontrado sorprendente ahora que vienes a México?
You know, if I would have to put it into a very general umbrella, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pick away at each category, I would say everything falls into like a broad spectrum of regulation. I feel like regulation in many of the broad areas that we can talk about are in Mexico a little loosened up.
Really?
And I have to say that a lot of the things in Mexico are done a little bit faster, to the point, and sometimes a little bit more efficiently than in North America.
Okay, dice que algo que lo que le sorprende en México, en manera muy general, porque dice que casi que aplica a muchas cosas, y ya iremos viendo una por una, es de que la regulación es mucho más ligera aquí en México en comparación con Estados Unidos y Canadá. Entonces eso lleva a que muchas cosas se hagan al punto y no tengan que hacer tanto papeleo. So red tape is not a thing here.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying, right?
It's not red tape. It's like almost like yellow tape, and you know, with a little bit of smooth talk and with.
It's like, what kind of tape do you want?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what color you want your tape?
Yeah, exactly.
Es un poco como que las regulaciones grandes en Estados Unidos le llaman red tape, cinta roja, algo que tarda mucho tiempo, gubernamental y esas cosas. Dice que aquí en México casi que, bueno, yo le dije, ¿no? Que aquí en México casi que le dicen, ¿de qué color quiere su cinta? Es un pequeño chiste de por la red tape. Significa que aquí en México todo es más rápido. I guess things in Mexico are faster, given the right budget, also, gotta say.
That's right.
Yeah, dado el presupuesto correcto.
Yeah, so I mean, there is red tape in Mexico, just like everywhere else. You know, there's regulation, but you know, the rules are made to be broken. It's almost like in law we say that contracts, you know, they're a lot like hearts. You know, they're made to be broken. And in Mexico, you know, they're broken quite often with the right conditions, I guess you could say, or in most cases.
Yeah. Ok, so lo que dices de que en leyes se dice que los contratos son como los corazones, que están hechos para que se rompan. Y dice que eso pasa mucho aquí en México con las regulaciones. Que él ve que hay muchas reglas que se rompen, básicamente. So you're telling me that there are many rules that are broken here.
Yeah,
I
or
mean,
bended. They're bended.
O dobladitas, a lo mejor no rotas, pero dobladitas. Bended a little bit.
Yeah.
Slightly.
Slightly.
Yeah, poquito. Can you give me some examples of that? ¿Me podrías decir algunos ejemplos de eso?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll give you a real example. I got sick. You know, I ate some tacos on my very first day that I came here. I went with a family of Mexicans, my friend that I was mentioning earlier with her family. And I have to say, I got a little bit sick. You know, I try to fight it off because I'm tough, right? But I decided after like 3 days, I need to go see a doctor. Now,
Okay. He's telling me that, me dice que él fue, cuando recién llegó a México, primer día, se fue a comer tacos con la familia de su amiga y que se enfermó del estómago. Entonces, trató de combatirlo solito por 3 días, pero al tercer día ya no pudo más, entonces fue a ver a un doctor.
it's like basically like a pharmacy, but there's a doctor like in the pharmacy at another door. And
Do you remember the name of the pharmacy?
it was called Ahora.
Oh, Farmacias del Ahorro.
Aurora, yes.
Yeah.
That's right. So basically, I went and knocked on this door with my friend Ariadna, and, you know, at first the doctor says, no, I'm not taking anybody. You have to book an appointment with the pharmacy and then come here. And we went there, and they said, no, there's no availability. And then I told her, I said, hey, listen, wait. This is Mexico. Please just knock again and just see if you can take us in. And he's like, yeah, come on in. You know, he's like, let us in. It was very like formal. He did a full analysis on me, and I was like mentioning earlier to you, there's like this tip jar. Like, it's funny, there's a tip jar in the doctor's office. And apparently, like, you're supposed to give like 10, 20 pesos, which is equivalent to about 50 cents to $1. And at first, we gave 50 pesos, but I said, no, let's give another $5 US, which is basically like, it's like 100 pesos. So anyways, the doctor ended up getting about 10 times more than, you know, but that worked its wonders because he started talking faster, working faster, and, you know, just stuff started getting done.
Sí.
My experience in Canada wouldn't be the same like this. I'd have to book an appointment with a secretary at my family clinic. You know, it'd probably take a day and a half to get there. Or I'd have to go to the emergency room, which would take about, 2.5 to 3, 4 hours to see a doctor. And, in that process, you're like dying, literally. So there's a big difference. I mean, I just wanted it in Mexico, and I got it. And that was it. There was like no red tape.
How long it would have taken you in Canada, this kind of procedure?
If you went to the emergency room, like I said, 2.5 hours to about 4 hours. But if you went to see your family doctor, you'd have to wait about a day and a half to go see him.
So you could go for up to, let's say, 2 days, maybe.
Up to 2 days, and during that 2 days, you're just literally dying.
How long did it take you here in Mexico?
It took me less than 20 seconds.
Ok, so básicamente lo que dice es de que fue a un doctor, por lo que yo entiendo, de Farmacias del Ahorro, de esos doctores que están al ladito de la farmacia. Entonces se supone que ahí el trato es de que básicamente el negocio es en la farmacia y el doctor es gratis. Entonces ya al doctor le das una propina, así es el negocio aparentemente de ellos. Entonces él dice que al principio batalló para que lo atendiera, pero le insistió un poquito más y por fin lo atendió, y cuando sacó por ahí el dolarito, el doctor se puso aún más buena onda y todo salió rapidísimo. Y algo que es importante decir es de que esos doctores son doctores. No crean que son doctores improvisados o falsos. Es simplemente, probablemente son doctores jóvenes que van empezando Y pues es la primera oportunidad tal vez que tienen de trabajar ya formalmente como doctores. I'm telling them that like the kind of doctor that you saw is not a fake doctor.
No,
It's just
absolutely.
a doctor that might be, just starting his career perhaps.
No, I mean, he looked like he's been doing it for about 10, 15 years. Like, I mean,
A little bit older.
he was intelligent and he was very knowledgeable with what he was doing. There is no difference between what this service would provide me and the one in Canada. It was absolutely the same. Like, he diagnosed me 100%. And,
So, yeah, I think I know what could have happened. So, a veces lo que pasa es de que los doctores tienen muchos trabajos, trabajan todo el día. Y a lo mejor esta clínica, pequeña clínica, era uno de sus 2 o 3 trabajos que tiene que cubrir. But sometimes what happens is like doctors, they take as many jobs they can.
Okay.
Yeah, so one doctor could have like 2, 3, up to 4 jobs. So that covers like 1, 2 clinics. Maybe he's teaching somewhere else, and maybe that was his 4th job or something like that.
Sure. Okay.
So
yeah, I get it. Okay.
No, that happens. Like doctors are maniacs. Los doctores están locos. Trabajan mucho, so they can make decent money.
Yeah.
So that's the point.
That night he made a little bit more.
Yeah, so entonces gracias a la propina que le dio, pues se apuró un poquito más y lo atendió rápido. Y dice que la diferencia con Canadá es de que en Canadá ese mismo procedimiento hubiera tardado demasiado tiempo, hasta incluso 2 días. So up to 2 days.
Yeah, I mean,
Canada,
like
maybe.
it's free, but like in my situation, when you're like really sick and you're like dying, they're like, man, I would give any amount of money to go see a doctor, And in this case, like. If you were in Canada, it would probably be faster if you just flew to Mexico. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, there's a term that they use. It's called like medical tourism.
Yeah, it is. It's a thing,
Yeah, hay una situación que se llama turismo médico, el cual significa que gente de Estados Unidos y de Canadá viene a México a atenderse. So that's exactly that. So people from America and Canada come to Mexico to get some procedures.
Absolutely.
Sometimes with experimental medicine,
Yes.
with experimental drugs. A veces incluso con drogas experimentales que allá en Estados Unidos y Canadá aún no las permiten, pero aquí en México, como se han de imaginar, todo es posible. So here in Mexico, everything is possible.
Everything is possible. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the next couple topics is that, the impression that I got is that if you can dream of it, you could probably get it done in Mexico, or it exists in Mexico. And that's a wonderful thing for the most part.
Dice que si puedes soñarlo, tal vez existe en México. Que lo que es bueno, pero which is good, and sometimes maybe not as good.
Yeah. Sometimes not as good, but most of the time, like if you can dream of a possibility, then it can happen in Mexico. And I can give you a few examples of,
Dice que si puedes soñarlo, en México es posible. Y tal vez me va a dar algunos otros ejemplos. So, yeah, give me one more example.
If you needed the most ridiculous thing fixed, the smallest thing, the mentality, like let's say in North America or in Canada would be like, hey, let's take this, let's say it's a washing machine or it's like a microwave or something, and the smallest thing breaks on it. A lot of the times what happens is we just as North Americans just say, you know what, let's throw it out and get a brand new one. In Mexico though, it's kind of like there's someone who will like come to you and like fix that smallest part, and they'll find it, they'll have it, they'll find a reason why it is profitable enough for them to come over and fix that thing. Let's say it's a dishwasher and the smallest piece breaks on your oldest unit, or like your microwave breaks and the dial needs to be replaced. The smarter thing would be just like you get a brand new one, in North America. But in Mexico, they always find a way to revive like things that North Americans would replace, basically.
Yeah, no, I know it's part of the culture.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Lo que dices de que una de las diferencias es de que en México todo se puede arreglar. Y me refiero en este caso a cosas técnicas. Por ejemplo, él dice que se descompone, por ejemplo, un horno de microondas. Entonces, fue una piececita la que se descompuso y obviamente el resto del microondas todavía funciona bien. Entonces él dice que en Estados Unidos o Canadá lo normal sería tirar el microondas porque ya no funciona y comprarte uno nuevo. Pero aquí lo que hace la gente es pues trae al técnico o lo lleva con el técnico y el técnico ve la piececita que falló porque ya se la sabe de todas y la reemplaza y a lo mejor es una pieza barata. Entonces él hace su trabajo, cobra sus honorarios y tú te llevas tu horno trabajando a la perfección. That's what I'm saying. Like they are technicians. They are very savvy technicians. So they know what is broken and they know how to fix it. So they will make a little bit of a profit, and then you get your microwave working fully again.
whatever. It could be the most smallest thing
It
that
could
you're
be literally whatever.
Literally whatever.
Puede ser literalmente cualquier cosa. Todos lo sabemos los que están viendo este video. La mayoría son de México y algunos de otros países de Latinoamérica. La mayoría somos of our subscribers are from Mexico or from some other Latin countries, Latin American countries. So they have a similar dynamic. So la dinámica es similar en otros países where everything is fixable.
Everything, like, that's part of their culture. It should be fixable because it's still good.
Well, if it's like 95% good, you only have to fix the 5%.
Exactly.
Y si está 95% bueno, pues nada más corriges el 5%.
But in North America, we reverse it. We say that if that 5% is broken, chances are that we feel like 95% of it's broken because, if this one little thing doesn't work on it, the whole unit is broken. And we're talking about microwaves and dishwashers and washing machines, but it could be literally anything. It could be a zipper like on your pair of shorts.
Oh yeah.
There's someone who will fix that for $1 or $2.
Yeah, like $1 or $2.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be worth fixing.
Dice que por ejemplo se le rompe un zipper o un pantalón o unos shorts. Entonces te van a cobrar en que te lo va a reemplazar pues unos $1 o $2, unos 30, 50, 60 pesos, algo así. Lo cual sabemos todos nosotros que es cierto. So we all know that's true, Yeah, that's the case, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what else have you found surprising? I think you told me something about self-employment.
Oh, self-employment.
Él me dijo, le pregunto que qué más ha encontrado sorprendente, y esto me lo dijo poco antes de esta entrevista. Me dijo que aquí mucha gente solita se busca trabajo y se consigue trabajo.
Self-employment is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen here. Everybody in Mexico finds a way to make money, because they have to. They have to support their families. They have to support themselves. They have to, I would even say, carry on the tradition of, being a Mexican. Let me give you an example. I've seen a lot of things with food. It is so quick and easy to open up, let's say, a juice stand or a taco stand, or even take the vegetables you have in your backyard and, take them, just, put them on your back or on your bicycle and say, you know what, I'm going to stand on this corner today and I'm going to sell avocados, or I'm going to sell, tomatoes, or, bananas or whatever. And it's just, that's a food example, but there's other ones that I would say that, in Canada, it would be like a city job. And in Mexico, they find a way to do it by themselves. For instance, I've seen a person painting yellow and white lines on city roads. And then what they do is they kind of put out their hat or their hand as people are driving by and asking for money. I think that's the most ridiculous thing ever.
They paint them very slowly.
And they paint it slowly so they can, make money. I always tell, people who I've told this story to that me as a painter, I got professional equipment. I would put the stencil down and hit that with my sprayer, and it would be like about a 5-second job. I could probably almost do a whole street by myself, in a day. But here in Mexico, there's even people who stand on a one-way street. They're not employed by the city. They're not employed by anyone, by any business. And what they do is they just wave people in. They say, okay, you stop. I'm going to bring you in.
And the name of that job is?
Vida.
Oh, close. Viene.
Viene.
El viene. Okay, so let me translate this part. Entonces lo que él dice, que algo que le llama mucho la atención de aquí de México, es de que mucha gente consigue trabajos por sí mismos. El primer ejemplo que dio es el de gente que vende frutas y verduras. Que por ejemplo tú tienes una hortaliza de lo que sea que vendas, tomates o lo que sea. Los cortas y te vas a una esquina y los vendes. Todos conocemos, pues, las camionetitas que andan por ahí, la gente que se pone a media cuadra a vender fruta ya empaquetada, tomates y calabacitas y elotes y esas cosas, que no es exactamente un trabajo formal, es un trabajo que deciden hacer por el día y se les acaba su mercancía y pues ya terminan el día. Otro ejemplo que daba es de que, por ejemplo, hay una persona pintando la calle, pintando las orillitas, pintando la línea de en medio, de blanco, de amarillo, y pues ahí está despacito con su brochita pintando y pues pidiendo una cooperación, ¿no? De la gente que va pasando. El otro ejemplo que dio es el del viene. Dice que, pues, todos sabemos qué es eso, ¿no? Es una persona, es como un, es like a ballet.
Yeah.
Es sort of ballet. Como un ballet, pero informal y modesto, que básicamente se pone en un supermercado, en algún lugar concurrido, y ese con el trapito, with the piece of cloth, y el viene, y deteniendo el tráfico por un lado, y que se venga por el otro lado. But you told me something really funny about the viene and liability.
Yeah, I mean, the liability, I mean, from a legal standpoint, I mean, if you had to sue somebody, if you were to put all your faith into this person with this red towel waving you over, and he's not employed by anybody or anything like that, I mean, it would be really hard to recover your loss from him because he probably doesn't have 2 pesos to rub together. We call that like that in North America, 2 nickels, right? Or I mean, he's not employed by any company, and therefore he's not insured by anybody. So it'd be a very difficult legal battle. Actually, in fact, you would be on your own. Really.
Dice que qué pasa si, por ejemplo, el viene te dice que pues vengas y de repente chocas. Él no se va a hacer responsable del choque porque es una persona independiente que, para empezar, probablemente no tiene seguro ni manera de pagarte el choque que acaba de ocasionar. Entonces aquí hay un problema de responsabilidad. Pero lo que yo le digo a él es que cuáles son las probabilidades de que eso pase. So what I'm telling you is like, what are the chances?
What are the chances? I mean, it happens.
Yeah, that's a small.
It happens. I mean, you're putting your faith in somebody else. I mean, I was even backing out in a parking lot one time, and I'm just like, okay, you know, I could have hit somebody, you know, but they're pretty good at what they do. What are the chances? I mean, I think it happens.
Yeah, but
I think
mean,
it happens twice a year.
Maybe.
I think it happens, but
yeah.
But, you know, I think when it happens, I think they just run away.
I think so.
You know?
Dice que no pasa mucho, que a lo mejor 2 veces al año por ahí hay algún accidente. No. Y cuando pasa, pues el viene se va rápidamente, lo cual probablemente es cierto. So I'll give you that.
Yeah, and, you know, like when you also go to parking lots too, like you can, there's another self-employment, like, you know, I was shocked one time someone wanted to wash my car in the parking lot, you know, as I'm shopping at Walmart. You know, it's kind of cool idea. I like it. You know, let's say you're doing your groceries and you're like, shit, you know, I forgot to do a car wash today. Maybe this guy could do it while I get my groceries. It's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, for a very small amount of money. Por poquito dinero.
Yeah, or...
Dice que una de las cosas que ve es de que, por ejemplo, va al súper y una persona le dice que si le lava su carro. Y dice, bueno, hasta eso es una buena idea. Dice, en lo que él hace compra su mandado, esta persona está lavando el carrito y ya cuando él llega con el mandado, el carro ya está limpio. So once you come back from the supermarket, your car is washed.
You have the car washed, or you can actually take a different package. You can just get your windows washed. You can have your rims shined. You can pick what you want. And they tell you kind of like, okay, this one's 5 pesos, 10 pesos. The whole car wash is about 40. You know?
Yeah, sounds about right.
So yeah, so I mean, it just like it blows me away how people in Mexico make up their own jobs. They like literally, if you can dream it, you can do it. You know, what else is there to talk about? Going back to regulation a little bit. I was going to talk about a mechanic shop that I've seen.
Oh yeah. Ok, so dice que, bueno, esto le sorprende demasiado. Como aquí la gente se consigue sus propios trabajos. Pero ahora me quiere platicar algo que tal vez experimentó con un taller mecánico. So yeah, tell me about the shop.
Yeah, I mean, so there's shops everywhere, and you know what? They're just like, it almost feels like you're in a NASCAR race. I mean, if you needed anything done, they're like waiting there with their wrenches and their jacks, and they're ready to go.
Which is true.
And one day it was like a Friday night, like around 9 p.m. and I saw this car that was like jacked up from the back, and the shop had like their like welding equipment all the way like on the street, and this guy was like welding under the car, and I'm just like, man, like where's like the health and safety kind of regulation? I mean, and nothing would really happen. Maybe the car could blow up, I guess. You know what I mean? But
well, he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing, and it comes down to that, right?
Él dice que básicamente que le llaman mucho la atención los talleres porque uno los conoce como, probablemente lo que él conoció fue una vulcanizadora, que cuando llegas ahí, rápidamente ya están listos para atenderte, cambiarte la llanta, ponerte el parche, lo que sea que necesites. Muy, muy rápido, muy, muy eficiente y muy, muy barato. Y el otro día dice que vio una persona haciendo trabajo de soldadura abajo de un carro, que totalmente le sorprendió y se quedó de que, eso no vaya a explotar el carro, ¿no? Pero aquí uno queda de que, bueno, probablemente el soldador sabe lo que está haciendo, y si no sabe lo que está haciendo, pues pagará las consecuencias. I'm thinking like the welder knows what he's doing, and if he doesn't, he will pay the price.
And I've seen at another garage, you know, like this like minivan pulls in, and like this like literally like this 7-year-old kid is like waving it in, and you know his hands are covered in like oil and everything. That means he's working on the cars. And I'm thinking to myself, like, is this like 7-year-old kid like a mechanic? Like what's going on here?
He's probably the son of the mechanic.
He's probably the son of the mechanic. Obviously, he's there, but like this kid, I don't know. Like, is he allowed to be there? Is he allowed to work? Like, you know.
I think so. I think by law, I mean, I might be wrong, right?
Yeah.
But I think what I remember is that if you are the son of the employer, you are actually allowed to be there.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's a huge difference between Mexico and Canada.
Yeah, entonces lo que yo le digo, que lo que yo recuerdo, porque él dice que le llama mucho la atención, que fue un taller y estaba un niño trabajando en el taller y que traía las manos sucias, estaba ahí haciendo algunos movimientos tratando de acomodar carros. Entonces le digo que yo recuerde, si me equivoco aquí, pues díganme en los comentarios, que según la ley y lo que yo recuerdo, no sé exactamente qué edad comienza, pero había una cláusula que decía que si eres hijo del empleador, tú puedes estar ahí y no hay ningún problema. So yeah, so you saw this kid working. Well, you know what? I will tell you something. If the job of a father is to be his son life skills, that's a huge one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Si la meta de un padre es darle a su hijo habilidades para la vida, pues un mecánico que le enseña a su hijo mecánico desde chiquito, seguramente con trabajos acordes a su edad, pues es una gran habilidad para tener. What I'm telling them is like, I mean, if you're teaching skills to your kid, maybe hopefully the dad is wise enough to give the kid a job that that it fits the age of his son, let's say.
Yeah, well, that was definitely, I think, a job that made his son very mature. I mean, it is a very fast development type of job, because the way I saw him handle it was like, he was confident.
So he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing at like 7 years old, man. Like, I felt like if this kid waved me in for anything, I would be like, yeah, change my transmission, and then also, change the timing chain on my engine. You know?
Lo que él dice es de que lo que vio en este niño era mucha confianza. Entonces probablemente el niño sabía exactamente lo que estaba diciendo, y como él lo vio, él confiaría cualquier reparación de su vehículo a este niño de 7 años.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
That's
an amazing story.
I think it's just hilarious.
I think it's hilarious, yeah. But amazing at the same time, you know? Yeah. But because that happens, yeah. I've seen that like many, many times. In any sort of job that is like self-employment, it's not like, obviously not like federal. It's not like a
yeah, that's true.
It's not like government or like a formal company.
Yeah.
It's more like the dad has a craft that he does, and then he teaches that craft to his kid.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed that between like Canada and Mexico is like there's a lot of kids working at their parents' shop or something like that, whether it's selling things, baking things, selling food, selling drinks on the street, or even just selling some kind of souvenirs, or even doing like performances and stuff for money. Kids do it as a living to support their families, themselves, and yeah, pretty much to support their families. Whereas in Canada, you might be very familiar with this if you're Canadian and watching this, is maybe some 5-year-old who decides to have a lemonade stand. They do it because it's cute. They, maybe they learn something, maybe they don't, about business, but they only really do it for a day or two. Someone comes by, they give them about, they only ask for like 50 cents. Someone comes by and gives, I'm going to give them $5, keep the change. You're kind of cute doing this. And then maybe about 10 people would walk by. Okay, the shop closes up. It's just kind of like a one-day thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You kind of do it just to buy some candy at a store, if I can metaphorically say that. Whereas in Mexico, they do it to like survive.
So the Canadian version is like fake working.
It's like
play working.
It's like play working. Go try getting a job and maybe save up some money for candy kind of thing.
Whereas in Mexico is like working.
It's like get to work. Our family's gonna starve today.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I'm being facetious.
Obviously, there's a range.
Yeah, there's a range.
There's a range. Obviously, there are some families who starve if they don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, including the kids that have to contribute.
Yeah.
Some mothers will be the dad, oh, so it's Saturday. So what are you gonna do here? Just play video games? No. Come on, join me to the shop. Let's say.
Join me at the shop, exactly. Like 6-7 days a week. Join me at the shop.
Sí, lo que él dice es de que básicamente él nota que muchos niños trabajan aquí en el país. Algunos seguramente sí por necesidad exactamente, pero algunos otros yo pienso que probablemente ayudan a la familia porque el papá los trae en corto, ¿no? De que el papá no los quiere ahí jugando PlayStation en su casa, jugando todo el día ahí. Entonces en lugar de que esté ahí perdiendo el tiempo, mejor se lo lleva a que le ayude un poquito y tal vez al final del día le da ahí un poquito de dinero. So the dad asks his son to join him to the shop or to the bakery or whatever, and then the kids would make a little bit of money by the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, that's different then, I mean, between Canada and Mexico. But I mean, don't you think that thing will happen also in Canada from people that is like self-employed, like bakers or something like that?
No, I don't.
Or is like completely prohibited by the government?
I don't think it happen. A lot of parents are scared for their kids. They're scared to like let them out of the house because you don't know what's going to happen to them. Are they going to get kidnapped? Are they going to get hurt? Are they going to, just disappear or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And also like just from a point of view of like, let's say liability, like you wouldn't put a 6-year-old kid in a mechanic shop to do stuff because, if you drop something or screw somebody up, it's on the dad and then it's on the business and this, and no one's got insurance or whatever for the kid, and and then the kid gets hurt, and then the parent is a bad parent because he let him work at the shop with the wrench and a welding unit or something like that. Whereas in Mexico it's completely like fine,
Mm-hmm.
to be around.
Like if I've seen this before. Like let's say that the dad has his son helping him with something.
Yeah.
Let's say at a shop or anything, bakery or something like that. And then the kid gets hurt. Then the dad will be very pissed at his son. Because he said don't be an idiot,
Don't be an idiot.
Don't be an idiot, pay attention to what we're doing.
Pay attention. You lost one finger, hopefully you don't lose the other.
If it was bad, I mean, it's going to change. But is this something minor?
Yeah.
If he got a burn or he just got...
Yeah.
I don't know, man, I don't know. Something smaller, not like a serious injury.
Yeah.
He'll be pissed. Pay attention, man. I'm not bringing you here to be like lazy and I don't know, like clumsy, take it seriously.
I get that vibe because being grown up in a Polish family, that's the same way that my parents kind of brought me up in their businesses that, you screwed up, if I was helping them do something, they'd be like, you'd be like, are you clumsy? Like, what's going on? Are you okay? Like, reevaluate yourself, like, you get up and do it again,
You'll be given the...
Basically, I'd almost be fired, like...
You'll be judged by your parents.
Exactly.
No, lo que le digo es de que cuando hay niños trabajando, sobre todo con sus papás, ¿no? Obviamente, si el niño lo mandan a un semáforo a hacer malabares es otra cosa, ¿no? Pero yo me refiero a trabajos familiares, de que si el niño comete un error y que causa un problema, que un producto se rompa o que algo pase malo, el papá va a estar enojado con el niño porque el niño no está poniendo atención y no está haciendo bien las cosas. El cual a él le da mucha risa, pero dice que en su familia, que tiene raíces polacas, dice que también si él se equivocaba, a él también lo regañaban muy feo y se le quedaban viendo raro y lo juzgaban. So you were judged by your parents and you were not doing your job professionally.
Absolutely. By 6, 7 years old, you got to do it right,
¿Cuáles son algunas cosas que no te gustan mucho de México? Que tú piensas que se podrían mejorar o que podemos aspirar como país a lograr un día?
Well, one thing I wanted to kind of touch on is kind of like going a little bit backwards, but it's almost a good thing. And it has to do a little bit with regulation and policing. One thing I've noticed that the policing is a little bit on the sloppy end, and it's almost because it's more efficient, actually. One thing that I absolutely hate about Mexico is the fact that there's a lot of speed bumps everywhere on smaller streets.
Oh, yeah.
I figured this out. They do it basically because, speeding's a problem in Mexico and people go a little crazy, and this is the most laziest way to just actually stop people from speeding basically. And also, one thing I've noticed in Mexico is a lot of people don't follow traffic laws. I'll be guilty of this. I think I ran here in Mexico probably about 50 stop signs. It tells you to stop, but a tourist if you actually see somebody stop at a stop sign, because nobody does it here. How many times, sometimes you'd blow like a red light or like an orange red light, and it's just kind of like a normal thing here, in my opinion. I think that's almost, a good thing, because these things are kind of small in a way. It's good and it's bad. But it's such a small thing that I think Mexico focuses on bigger things. And one of those things that I'm about to touch on, I guess it's like the counterfeiting, the drugs, the gangs, all that stuff.
Okay. Let's do that in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so algo de lo que me dice es de que él ve que aquí hay una situación con el tránsito. Por ejemplo, él dice que hay muchos topes en todas las ciudades, muchos topes, y yo creo que estoy totalmente de acuerdo con él. Dice que es una manera pues muy sencilla y muy floja de tratar de controlar a los conductores, porque pues a los conductores les gusta subirle mucho a la velocidad y la gente pone tope, entonces el conductor no puede hacer eso más, y es una manera como pasiva de controlar esta situación. Pero ahora, algo de lo que me dice también es de que mucha gente se vuela los letreros de alto y mucha gente se vuela semáforos. Y yo pienso que, de hecho, está en lo correcto. Ahora, él me dice que dice, es que en parte es que México, en general, lo que él ve, como él lo ve, que México no se enfoca en esos problemas tan pequeños como es tránsito. Ese no es problema. Cuando hay problemas graves, como por ejemplo drogas, por ejemplo piratería, por ejemplo pues algunas otras cosas que ahorita está a punto de decirme. So go on.
So I don't know too much about these topics. As foreigners, we learn about these things, and I have to say this, kind of embarrassing, but we learn about it through the news, which is not a lot of times accurate. And we learn about things through movies,
Through movies?
Yeah.
Like Narcos on Netflix?
Like, no, like, recently I've seen the movie, like, the final Rambo, like, where he's, like, an uncle and he's, like, super old. Like, I think it's Rambo 6 or something like that. Daughter gets kidnapped. He's got to go over there and beat up everybody in Mexico, but, you know.
You know, I have not watched that one.
You haven't watched that one. It's really good. It's basically about Mexico and about, like, drug gangs and kidnapping and stuff like that.
How do you see the narco thing in Mexico?
I don't see it. That's the thing.
Oh, there you go.
I don't see it because the people I've been with have probably kept me away from it. I mean, when I was in Playa del Carmen, okay, you know, there's a party street. We all know what it is. It's Fifth Avenue. And there's people obviously standing out there who are saying, hey, I got stuff, you want it, I got anything, whatever it is they say. And I know that they're part of a gang, and you can see that there's, you know, like about 4 or 5 people working on that street. Best thing is, I guess, to kind of just be nice. Just ignore them. Be nice and say thank you.
Ok, lo que él me dice, yo le pregunto, oye, ¿y cuál es tu impresión sobre los problemas de narco en México? Y él me dice, no lo he visto. Dice, no lo he visto. Dice, a lo mejor parte es que la gente con la que ando, pues me mantiene lejos de eso y pues no lo veo. Algo que sabemos aquí en México muy bien, creo que todos los que están viendo esto y los que nos ven de otros países, tal vez pase algo similar en sus regiones, es de que si no buscas problemas, lo más probable es que no encuentres problemas, y es algo más o menos de lo que él dice, ¿no? Pues te mantienes alejado. Y dice que él se topó cuando estuvo en Playa del Carmen, pues con gente que le vendía cosas en las calles, por ejemplo, ahí en la Quinta Avenida en Playa del Carmen. Y él dice, pues yo nada más me mantengo alejado, no los ignoro, aunque sé que me quieren vender, pues, 2, 3 cosillas por ahí. Yeah, I agree. What I'm telling them is like, people think that if you do not look for trouble, you wouldn't get in trouble.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, right? I mean, if you stay away, if you try to avoid trouble, trouble might not find you.
Yeah, trouble might not find you if you don't walk down streets that you shouldn't walk down, or talk to people that you shouldn't talk to.
Yeah.
Or even attract danger that you shouldn't attract.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes common sense isn't so common as they used to tell me in the military. Yeah, so.
Es lo que dice, que todo tiene que ver con sentido común. De que no andes por calles que a lo mejor no debes, no hagas tratos con gente que a lo mejor no debes. Y sentido común, y dice que a veces el sentido común no es tan común como uno pensaría. Es algo que él aprendió en el ejército. So what else about the dangers of Mexico? ¿Qué más acerca de los peligros de México?
This was a really funny thing that we came across yesterday, and we slightly touched on the idea of counterfeit. Now, it was really funny. We were driving by a store that was selling Nike shoes, and I noticed one little thing, because I'm a person of detail, and in the window it says, we take Visa and MasterCard. And I was telling you in the car, I said, you know what? I don't care if these things are counterfeit. You know, I mean, I'd probably still buy a pair of shoes from there and then do what they call a chargeback on the card, you know, through your credit card insurance. I think it would be like a funny idea where you can go buy actually 3 pairs of shoes of counterfeit. They take your credit card, they charge you, and then you say, hey, I got ripped off, you know, to your credit card, you know, company, and they would take it on insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And you would basically get your money back and a free pair of shoes.
Él está proponiendo un negocio muy interesante, porque dice que íbamos por ahí en las calles de Tampico y vio una tienda de Nike, y de hecho la vimos los dos y estábamos platicando que lo más probable es que eran tenis falsos, piratas, no legítimos de la marca. Y él dice, bueno, yo de todos modos compraría un par de tenis ahí, dijo 3 pares incluso. Los pagaría con mi tarjeta Mastercard o Visa, que ellos aceptan Mastercard o Visa en ese negocio, porque dice en la ventana. Y después hablaría a mi banco y les diría, me acaban de estafar, compré estos tenis que son falsos y entonces quiero mi dinero de vuelta. El banco probablemente cancelaría la transacción, él se quedaría con los tenis y la tienda perdería por esta situación de alegar que son falsos. So
But
that
you know
plan
what?
might work.
It might work. That's a small little thing. But you know what? Like in Mexico, like yeah, there's counterfeit stuff. But you know what? That's one thing I like about it. If you, let's say, want to buy a movie, there's movies that are counterfeited. I mean, there's literally like stores that are open. And,
Yes, they are.
and you can like literally go buy a DVD for 10 pesos, it's like 50 cents. Now, for some of you, that might be expensive because, you're like, oh, I can get it for free online. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, right? You could. But, there's other things like hats, shoes, shirts, and they're beautiful things, too.
Anything, really.
Yeah, so sometimes you can buy the thing that you want for, a tenth of the price,
Bueno, él me está diciendo que él encuentra aquí mucha variedad en México de muchas cosas que probablemente son piratas, incluyendo películas, DVDs y esas cosas. Y pues a él no lo veo demasiado enojado con ese respecto, como que él siente que tiene sus opciones se han ahora multiplicado. So what I'm telling them is like, from what I take from you is that you're not particularly annoyed that they sell you counterfeits. you said?
Counterfeit, yeah.
Because you kind of feel that now your options are even more.
More.
You have a wider range of products that you can choose from.
Absolutely.
And most of the time, they actually don't pretend that they are real.
No, they don't. They're like, there's a shop. Let's say if you're going to buy like a movie or something like that, and it's like, you open the package and it's like...
They're not trying to rip you off.
No, they're not trying to rip you off at all. But, I mean, maybe it could be a problem in Mexico. I don't know what that problem could be. Maybe you can share that experience. But that's something as for like an economical argument that, it could be a problem.
Lo que le digo es de que normalmente la gente que te vende cosas piratas o que intenta venderte cosas piratas, normalmente no tratan de estafarte, de que tú sabes que son piratas, ellos saben que son piratas. Un problema que él dice que se puede haber algo detrás de todo esto. Y yo pienso que sí. El problema detrás de todo esto es que cosas que están poco reguladas, a menudo hay gente no muy deseable detrás de todo esto. ¿Saben más o menos a lo que me refiero? Y eso puede ser un problema porque es dinero que le está llegando de manera ilegal, no pagan ningún tipo de impuestos y tal vez lo usan para cosas no muy deseables. What I'm telling them is like, behind all these operations, sometimes there are people that are not desirable. But they might use that money to invest in some other corrupt activities.
And
you know what I mean.
And that leads to gang activities.
And that leads to something else.
Which is something we talked about earlier, and you were saying that when you had your business in Tampico, the gangs didn't work in your favor.
Oh.
And it didn't work in a lot of businesses' favor. It was like almost like a pandemic in the city of Tampico.
Yeah, that's right. I can
mini pandemic.
I can tell them the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happens is like back in, I don't know, was that like 2016, I believe? That's like 5 years ago.
Okay.
There was gang violence in Tampico. What it means is like gang versus the military. So it was messy.
Yeah.
And you could be in the middle of a shooting in town out of nowhere. So that made people didn't want to go out anymore. So since they didn't want to go out anymore because of safety reasons, they wouldn't come to my shop. I had a coffee shop, like a big one, which was a nice, like a good business, was working properly. But then the violence hit the streets, and we didn't have any customers left. So business dropped like 90%.
Wow, 90.
Overnight.
Just overnight.
Overnight, and that stayed for like 3 months, maybe 4 months, which was intense, and then started to recover by month, I don't know, 4 or 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
So we didn't make it through the pandemic of violence.
Pandemic of violence.
We didn't
And there's a lot of little pandemic of violences throughout Mexico. Is that right? Yeah. So these shutdowns could be for like what, 2 months, 1 month, 3 months?
We never know.
You never know. These gangs could just keep fighting.
This is cyclical, meaning like it comes and goes every few years, let's say. So maybe at least once every decade or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Entonces lo que yo le digo es de que, por ejemplo, yo tenía un negocio, una cafetería en Tampico, y si no recuerdo mal, en 2016 hubo una ola de violencia. Creo que fue 2014, ahora que recuerdo bien. En fin, el punto es de que hubo una ola de violencia en la ciudad. La ola de violencia era grupo delictivo contra los militares. Entonces había a veces balaceras en la ciudad, había violencia, podías quedar en medio de una balacera de la nada. Y eso lo que orilló fue que hubiera mucho miedo de la gente no sale y la gente pues no sale a una cafetería, no te compra nada. Y le platicaba que nuestro negocio perdió algo así como el 90% de los clientes. Y eso duró meses. Entonces, cuando estas cosas pasan, los negocios sufren y la ciudad sufre en general. So when these things happen,
Yeah.
Businesses suffer and people suffer as well.
Absolutely, and that's one of the big things.
So maybe every time you buy counterfeit, maybe you are actually supporting
the gangs. Yeah, you're supporting the gangs.
You never know, but
You don't
that
know.
might be the case. Tal vez cuando compras algo pirata, ayudas a ese tipo de organizaciones. Tal vez no. El punto es que no sabes.
Or some sort of slave labor, human trafficking, or something of that nature, which is obviously gang related.
Yeah, you're right.
You know.
Dice que incluso podría ser cosas como tráfico de personas. Nunca sabes, porque son negocios ilegales. Entonces nunca sabes realmente tu compra qué causas termina ayudando.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We just don't know.
We don't know.
That might be the case.
It
Lo
might
cual
be.
no sabemos, pero podría ser el
It's a
caso.
strong case, though.
So what else you don't really like about Mexico? Tell me. What about the food? Can you handle the heat? ¿Qué tal la comida? ¿Le gusta la comida? ¿Puede manejar el picante? ¿Qué onda con eso?
The food, I love all the food. Even coming before I came to Mexico, I mean, I've been to a couple restaurants, Mexican restaurants in Canada, and I liked the Mexican food. Can I handle the heat in some dishes? Yeah, I can handle it. Can I handle the heat in some snacks and stuff? I think the snacks are a little ridiculous, you know. They're basically laced with like this sauce called Valentina. It's basically like this hot chili kind of sauce. I mean, I think it's a different palate and it's acquired taste. That's the key word, acquired taste. It's something completely different than I've ever experienced.
Okay, dice que la comida mexicana sí le gusta, que él ya comía comida mexicana desde antes en Canadá, en restaurantes mexicanos. Entonces que la comida picante, dice que él puede manejarla, que no hay problema. Pero que hay una situación con las botanas en México, las papitas con mucho chile y luego le ponen mucha Valentina. Por lo que yo entiendo desde su perspectiva, arruina totalmente el sabor y son como que recetas flojas. En el sentido de que nada más le ponen mucho chile y ya, ahí está tu botana, ¿no? No le meten mucho cerebro. So what I'm telling you is like, from what I guess from you, you find these recipes with the snacks and a lot of sauce, or
Yeah.
snacks that already have like a lot of like chili.
It's just chili based
Yeah,
stuff.
like hot pepper.
Hot pepper based.
Hot pepper base, a lot of like that powder thing. That
The powder tahini they call it.
the tajin. So you find those kind of snacks kind of lazy.
Yeah.
Lazy in the sense that they are not
Basically, they can take anything and they put tahini on it. So let me give you an example. There's things like, you know, on the beach you can buy fruits. You know, mango loco. Or you can have like pina loco, or all these kind. You can have a shrimp platter with a bunch of tahini and Valentina sauce. It's the most disgusting thing ever, in my opinion. You've taken something that's really good already, and you've just completely laced it with hot sauce, basically, like Tabasco sauce, basically, if I had to describe it in any
or
way.
as Mexicans call it, it's improved.
It's improved. It's improved.
Ok, dice que el problema es que dice, no, o sea, a todo le ponen mucha salsa, a todo le ponen mucho tajín. Y dice, hay cosas que están bien buenas, como el mango, como unos camarones. Y dice, y luego le pones mucha salsa y arruina el sabor de la comida. Y yo le digo, o como dicen los mexicanos, ahora la comida está mejorada. It's improved now.
It's improved. Yeah,
I mean,
guess.
according to many Mexicans.
Yeah. So I guess the big question that you wanted to ask me was, what's the Canadian food?
Oh yeah, what about Canadian food? Because
Yeah.
I don't really know much about Canadian food. It's not exactly a staple in the war of I don't know, international cuisines.
Well, let me tell you like the answer. Like this is the holy grail answer in my opinion. I've been asked this a million times traveling. I've been all over like Europe and North America, and I've stayed at hostels and I've met a lot of people and everything, and they said, "Oh, yeah, tell me, what's a Canadian dish?" Because what they're trying to say is, what is your second language? Because the cuisine, the kitchen of that country is almost like a second language in a way. Would you agree? I mean, it is basically.
It is part of the culture.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Canada, we don't really have a dish. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's poutine," like one dish.
And get embarrassed.
One dish, like the country, takes up about 10% of the planet, and we have one dish, maybe two. The truth is this, is that because Canada is so young and America is so young, all our food is immigrant inspired. Immigrants came from Portugal, from Italy, from Mexico, from Europe, and they brought from Asia, and they brought all these dishes to Canada. If you ever notice any restaurants and you ask your friend, what are you eating today? And they'll say, "I'm having Chinese," or "I'm having pasta and pizza," or I'm having tacos today. I'm having burritos today. I'm having jerk chicken, which is Jamaican. So they always mention like some other cultures, but they never mention, "I'm going to have Canadian food." Like, what is Canadian food? Even I don't know. I'm Canadian.
I don't know what Canadian food is.
So the conclusion is this, is that all the food has been brought in from all these immigrating ethnicities that have come to Canada, into America. Really?
Ok, es porque yo le preguntaba que, ok, ya hablamos de comida mexicana, ahora hablemos de comida canadiense. Y él dice, aquí hay un problema muy serio. Dice, esto ya me lo han preguntado muchas veces cuando viajo a Europa o viajo a alguna otra parte de Norteamérica. Y dice, es de que en Canadá no tenemos comida auténticamente canadiense. Dice, por ahí hay algún platillo, ¿no? Uno que se llama poutine. Dice, pero un platillo para todo el país, un platillo que represente... Canadá es grande, ocupa mucho territorio del planeta, y nada más tenemos un platillo. Dice, eso es muy, muy triste, ¿no? Entonces me dice, aquí lo que pasa es de que como Canadá es un país muy joven, llega gente de todo el mundo. Llega gente de todo el mundo, de Europa, de India, de China, de México, Latinoamérica, no sé. Entonces dice, cada cultura que llega, cada grupo étnico que llega al país, trae su propia comida, y esa comida es lo que es parte del menú canadiense. Entonces tú, por ejemplo, le preguntas a alguien de que, ¿qué estás comiendo? No, estoy comiendo comida italiana. ¿Qué estás comiendo? Ah, comida mexicana, tacos. ¿Qué estás comiendo? Pues comida china. En fin. Entonces dice, esa es la situación en Canadá. Dice, la comida de Canadá es comida internacional. Solamente le dices, like,
Absolutely.
Canadian food is actually international food.
Absolutely. We're just a mix of all these international cuisines that have arrived to Canada. We're a multicultural
Including
country.
your own family.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Polish food. I mean, that's another type of food you can have in Canada.
Incluyendo su propia familia que emigró de Polonia.
I mean, I know Canadians who like every Friday go buy pierogies. It's just in cabbage rolls. That's not Canadian.
Dice que conoce muchos canadienses que van todo el tiempo a comprar pierogies, que es una comida típica polaca.
I can't think of really any kind of, unless somebody will correct me and say, "Oh, this is a Canadian dish." I mean, but there's a disproportionate amount of other ethnicities that Canadians eat, and Canadians don't eat their own food, whatever that food is. I don't know what it is, to be honest. On every single day I eat a different ethnicity food.
Well, this is going to be something that is really different in comparison to Mexico.
It is.
Because for Mexico, we have...
Mexico has their own cuisine.
We have our Mexican food, which is a mixture of native Mexican, Spanish, and then everything in between.
Yeah, and there's a history. It was brought in by the Aztecs, if I'm correct. Yes.
Well, I mean, when the Spanish came, the Aztecs were the ruling class.
Okay.
But before the Aztec, we had the Maya.
There you go, the Mayans. Yeah. And you know what? In Mexico, I have to say this, they have their own cuisine. There are Mexican authentic dishes, and there's like 50 of them. There's more than 50. There's tons of dishes.
Yeah.
You can't say the same thing about Canada.
If I had to give you a number, traditionally Mexican,
yeah,
I'll go for like 100.
100.
Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. And you know, there's different dishes that come from different regions. You'll have something that comes from the Yucatan Peninsula. You'll have something that comes from Oaxaca. You'll have something that comes from northern Mexico. And they're all a little bit different dishes. Whereas in Canada, I can't say that, oh, this particular dish is from British Columbia. This particular dish is from Ontario. It's really hard to put a finger on it, whereas in Mexico, you have this distinction. We don't have it, unless someone corrects me. But I'm very confident in saying that.
Yeah, lo que él me dice es, aquí la diferencia es que en México hay muchos platillos que pues ya son mexicanos, dice. Y yo le comentaba que en México pues tenemos la comida tradicional desde los aztecas, antes los mayas, por ejemplo. Hay más grupos, pero esos dos son principales. Y luego llegaron los españoles. Entonces tenemos ahí una situación nativa mexicana con español europea. Y luego una mezcla y salen muchos platillos nuevos como el mole, por ejemplo, ¿no? Que es uno famoso, que es una mezcla de ingredientes aztecas y españoles. Entonces yo le decía que en México al menos hay unos 100 platillos típicos. Yo pensaría que es algo bastante razonable. ¿100? Yo creo que sí, fácil. Y él me dice, bueno, nosotros no tenemos eso. Y eso es una gran diferencia en la experiencia culinaria entre Canadá y México. Tell them a little bit about the video we recorded last night. Lo hice que grabar un video, de hecho, revisando comida del norte de México. So what were the highlights of the video of you trying northern Mexican food?
You know, to be honest, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. We did a review yesterday. We did 2 episodes. One was on northern Mexican food. Another one was just on snacks. At the beginning of this interview that we're having right now, I mentioned that earlier. I came to Mexico for only 1 week. It was to Cancun, Tulum, Playa del Carmen. It wasn't really much of a trip. I've tried a few things. Now I've been in Mexico for a month, so I started eating like a Mexican. This trip to Tampico really gave me a deeper understanding of Mexican food. I've got to try a lot more things. And what was it like?
Let me translate this.
Yeah.
Digo que de hecho lo hice hacer un video conmigo, 2 videos. Uno donde analizó botanas mexicanas en general, y el otro era de comida del norte de México. Y le pregunto que pues cómo le fue, ¿no? Y está tratando de explicarme de que dice, bueno, yo la primera vez que vine a México, pues nomás una semana, nada más hice la situación de Cancún, Playa del Carmen, Tulum. Y en esta segunda ocasión, dice, ya estoy ahora sí probando comida mexicana real. Y dice, ahora con este viaje a Tampico, he podido profundizar más en mi conocimiento de comida mexicana. So, what did you find interesting about the northern Mexican food?
Yeah, so this was super interesting, is that there, like we said earlier, there's, 50, 100 dishes, whatever you want to call it, right? But each dish is almost similar to the next one with a small variation or difference. Like, for instance, you take something from, let's say, a burrito to a taco, relatively the same, minus one or two ingredients. You go from a taco to a empanada, for instance, about the same concept, a little bit deep fried. You go from
An empanada to a quesadilla.
quesadilla, exactly. Add the cheese, Maybe don't deep fry it, just put it on a pan. So like a gorda, for instance, that's another quesadilla almost. Just, it's kind of like a pocket, like a mini pita or something like that, if I had to describe it. And it's just like there's a little variation in each of these dishes. That's one thing I've noticed. One thing I've noticed is that all the dishes come with vegetable, cheese, and some sort of meat. Obviously, there's a vegan and vegetable option you can have too. Not as popular as the meat ones, I would say. You need to put the meat in all these dishes.
Yeah, people get offended if you don't serve it with some meat.
Yeah.
People say like, what? Do you think this is a joke?
Yeah. No, I mean, it'd be offending the culture.
The culture, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you say like, can I have some vegan tacos? They'll give you the finger.
Yeah.
Algo de lo que me dice es de que él ha notado que en México muchos platillos, aunque se llamen diferente, son un poco parecidos. Y se refiere de que dice, bueno, mira, por ejemplo, tienes un taco, ok, va. Y luego tienes una empanada, que es como una especie de taco, pero no exactamente. Y luego tienes una quesadilla, que es como que un taco, pero con queso nada más. Y luego tienes una gordita, y luego tienes, bueno, él ya sabe un poquito de comida popular mexicana.
One thing I do have to add, though, like, and it's a very important thing, is that in Mexico, in contrast to Canada and the USA, is that in Mexico, food is their second language. And their second language, which being food, is very strongly tied to their family tradition and their family daily routine. Eating food here is like another religion almost. People take it very seriously.
Ok, lo que él está diciendo que una diferencia con México y Canadá que él ve es de que la gente aquí se toma la comida muy en serio. Es otro, él lo ve como otro idioma. Obviamente yo lo diría más bien como que otro aspecto muy importante de la cultura. Y dice que aquí la comida es casi algo religioso. It's almost religious.
It is. Like, I've seen families really stop what they're doing. Everything's focused around food. I mean, you spend your whole day somehow to orchestrate a feast of some sort.
I don't know if you have seen this, but some people, I'm pretty sure, or almost sure, that this also happens in Poland, where food is a moment to spend with your relatives, with your family.
Absolutely.
So you have breakfast together, you have lunch together, and then you're gonna have dinner together.
Yeah, I mean, in Poland, the big one is the Sunday lunch, which is like around 2 p.m. on a Sunday. But I mean, it happens. Like, there's no way out of it. You'd almost be going to hell if you actually skipped lunch.
What do you mean? Is it like family oriented?
Absolutely.
A traditional Polish family living in Poland.
Yeah.
How many meals would they share together within a day? Let's say.
I would say, like in the modern world, they're sharing maybe one meal a day in the modern world, or maybe not. But like on Sundays and on Saturdays, like, it's on. Like, I mean, lunch, you cannot miss lunch, which is like at like 1 to 2 p.m. sharp. Like, it is like, you can't miss that. It is part of who you are as a Polish person or European.
Okay, entonces lo que me dice es de que la comida es algo que se utiliza mucho como, pues es parte de los vínculos familiares. Y le digo que probablemente Polonia es igual. Y me dice que sí, particularmente los fines de semana, particularly on weekends in Poland.
Yeah, I would say so. And that revolves around, you go into church, after church, you sit down as a family. And
dice que normalmente entre semanas sería una comida juntos y después en fin de semana mucho más. Y es algo parecido en México. muchas familias en México tienen el almuerzo juntos. La comida depende si el trabajo lo permite, pero definitivamente la cena juntos también. Y obviamente las cosas relacionadas con la iglesia. Yeah, please go ahead.
If I were to contrast that with Canada, I would say people just kind of eat, just because, they need to get on with their day,
So, don't you think like family is involved into the eating habits?
In Canada?
In Canada.
No. No, I would say people sacrifice their family for efficiency in a way to do other things. They would say, okay, we're gonna maybe not have family time, but we got to focus more on work and other things,
Él me dice que en Canadá, él lo que ve es de que mucha gente sacrifica comidas con la familia para poder eficientizar el trabajo, por ejemplo.
Whereas in Mexico, one thing that I've noticed, it was a very small thing I noticed, and a lot of maybe your subscribers might agree with this, but I've noticed that in Mexico, they sacrifice things like not renovating their house, not taking care of their cars, not doing things that North American people would do, but focus more on their family and more on their cooking in preparation for this feast. So like sometimes I'd walk into a Mexican house and I'd be like, holy shit, man, like this place needs to get fixed or needs to get updated or something like that. But that's not what's important to them. What's important to them is the meal at hand, which is at least once a day with their family here in Mexico. So they sacrifice all the stuff that, people in a North American family would do, like, fix their cars and, renovate their houses and, go shopping and stuff like that. But Mexicans, they completely disregard all this stuff and they just focus on, okay, where's the family at? Where's the food at?
Okay, él dice que algo que ha notado es de que en comparación con Estados Unidos y Canadá, en México las familias están dispuestas a sacrificar renovaciones en la casa, pintura, un carro más nuevo, un carro en mejores condiciones, todo para poder invertir tiempo, dinero, recursos en que la comida familiar sea parte de la rutina diaria. Eso es muy importante para la familia mexicana y posiblemente similar para otras familias latinoamericanas, en comparación con familias en Estados Unidos y Canadá, que por lo que entiendo, la convivencia en familia no es tan importante. Okay, so let's talk about family, right?
Sure.
Let's talk about family.
All right.
So what are the main differences that you find between your family which has Polish roots and the traditional Canadian family? And if you want to add also the traditional Mexican family, at least what you have seen so far.
Yeah, so I mean, I see one very similarity between my Polish family and a Mexican family is that we really emphasize a lot on, making food from scratch and, that emphasis on making food. Whereas like the North American family, they sacrifice their family time for more efficiency, and they'll, like, let's say go to a restaurant, or sometimes even go to the frozen food aisle and just buy a frozen pizza or have something delivered. We really take, like, European people and Mexican people, you take pride in the process. Because in the process, you experience this family bonding in a way.
Le pregunto ¿qué ha notado él con respecto a la manera en que se manejan las familias polacas, las familias canadienses y las familias mexicanas? Y él me dice que él nota similitudes entre las familias polacas y las familias mexicanas, en el sentido de que realmente le invierten a tratar de que esa preparación de la comida sea parte de la unión familiar. Mientras que las familias americanas o canadienses, dice, en ocasiones prefieren ir a un restaurante O tal vez compran comida del súper congelada y nada más llegan y las congelan en casa y se la comen. Y ahí estuvo la cena del día. Okay,
You
so
know?
we've been kind of like trashing
You know.
Canadians so far.
We've been trashing a little bit of Canadians. We've been trashing a little bit of Mexicans,
Okay,
and
but- but-
we're always trashing Americans.
Okay, but tell me, what is something that you're proud of
as who?
as a Canadian?
As a Canadian,
Just Canadian, not Canadian Polish. No, just Canadian.
you know, from
Because I mean, your country is pretty like successful. I mean,
yeah,
everyone like sees Canada as, like this country that's like doing really well.
I feel like from a general standpoint, I could like kind of close my eyes and walk down the street and know that things will be okay. I mean, that sounds very like weird in general, but just knowing that you're just a little bit safer in Canada, just a little bit.
Le digo que ya hemos hablado un poquito mal de Canadá, pero le digo, ¿qué te enorgullece realmente de ser un canadiense? Porque a fin de cuentas él es, pues, canadiense, nació en Canadá. Y me dice, bueno, algo interesante de Canadá es de que pase lo que pase y se cierran los ojos, vas por la calle y todo va a estar bien.
And that all comes down to the very first point that we've made, and that was just basically when I said regulation. Everything falls down under regulation. Is that in Canada you have so many safety nets, so much regulation that it's like, man, like what can go wrong? You know what I mean? Like it's like if you were to tarp your like sofa with like 10 layers of plastic, it's kind of like, well, it'd never get dirty kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's basically what Canada is. I mean, we just layer it with regulation and rules and everything, and it's just, it's completely okay.
Get it. Okay, algo me dice que el motivo por el cual Canadá le va tan bien es porque hay demasiada regulación. Entonces hay mucha regulación, pues las cosas tienden a salir bien en general. Dice, es como si a un sofá le pones 10 capas de plástico y pues obviamente nunca se va a ensuciar. Entonces, pensé que eso era muy chistoso. But, okay, what do you enjoy the most, particularly yourself? ¿Qué es lo que más disfrutas tú?
Here in Mexico?
No, but you have experience Europe, you have experience Canada, you have experience Mexico now.
Absolutely.
So what is what you like?
What I like in, okay, let's say in Mexico, I'm a different kind of personality. I'm the kind of guy who likes to get to the point. I like to cut through all of what they call the BS, and one thing that I absolutely love about Mexico is just like things can get done and anything's possible, and things get done fast if you want them to get done fast. That's it.
Yeah.
That's one thing I love about being here in Mexico. It's just to the point.
Lo que él dice es de que, digo, ¿y a ti qué te gusta en general? O sea, digo, porque has experimentado Polonia, has experimentado Canadá, has experimentado México. Dice, yo soy el tipo de persona que no le gusta perder el tiempo. Entonces, dice, aquí en México yo puedo hacer lo que yo trato de hacer al punto, rápido, eficiente, en comparación probablemente con otros lugares donde tiene que hacer muchos trámites para hacer todo. Would you like to share with us, if possible, your experience, the very like particular experience that you had with this white tiger?
With the white tiger?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's something crazy.
Yeah, so...
I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I mean, if you want to share that.
Yeah, the family I was staying with, they have a ranch, and they have a lot of animals. And from what I know from research is that in the entire world, there's only about 3,000 to 4,000 white tigers. Like, it's a very rare species, So I got to I guess, white tiger, which was the first tiger I've ever seen in my life. And I gotta say, like, it's just
Something else.
it's something else. Like it's powerful.
Do you feel intimidated by the tiger?
It motivates me. I want to be like the tiger.
You want to be a white tiger.
I want to have the eye of the tiger.
Maybe that could be your next nickname.
Yeah.
The White Tiger.
The white tiger.
Yeah, actually kind of fits you.
Yeah, you got a white shirt on.
Le pregunto le digo, cuéntame sobre el tigre blanco que conociste el otro día. Y me dice, es que la familia con la que estoy, o con la que estuve aquí en México, de su amiga, se tiene un tigre blanco, dice. Y pues me vas a creer que no hay muchos de esos, entonces fue la primera vez que he visto un tigre de esos. Y le digo, oye, pues hasta eso como que me gusta el tigre blanco como para tu apodo, ¿no? Entonces tal vez ese podría ser el apodo oficial de Arthur. De hecho aquí le voy a poner tigre blanco.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me something crazy that you have seen in Mexico so far. Something that you cannot believe your eyes.
I have to think about it. I mean,
Le digo, dime algo loco que has visto en México que tú te quedes así de que no puedo creer lo que estoy viendo.
one really funny thing is that people in Mexico don't find anything embarrassing, whereas in Canada, we would. Let me give you an example.
Okay, dice que algo que ve aquí en México es de que aquí la gente nada le da pena. En Canadá la gente es muy penosa. Y dice, aquí va un ejemplo.
The one thing that I tried to record, but it was just too quick for me, was there was this small yellow Beetle car. You know, like one of those small little Beetle cars.
Like Beetle, like the old Beetle, or like the newer Beetle?
The old Beetle. Like it's small. It's the whole car in length is
like the Hitler Beetle.
The little Beetle, the little yellow ones.
Yeah.
You know. I saw one of those. I mean, and the whole car's in length maybe about, what is it, 10 feet, 11 feet?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it had like this 20-foot long plumbing pipe. Like it was like if I had to if this was the car, I mean, it was like, there's this pipe strapped to it and it was like this. Like in Canada, that would just be embarrassing. You just strap this huge 20-foot pipe onto like the top of your car and just drive it home because you need to do a renovation. Okay. It was strapped to the top of the car, and then the pipe it was like this, you know, like the guy just like strapped it to his Beetle car, not just a regular car, but the Beetle car, which is like a lot shorter, right? And the pipe was just like this, and it was dragging on the floor or on the road too, and everything.
Because
and I'm like,
the guy had to take the pipe to his place.
He had to. That's his only vehicle apparently, and like that would be crazy embarrassing in Canada.
Is it legal to do that in Canada?
You know what? Someone would stop you and be like, "Listen, like, what are you doing here? This is like not safe, you know, because it's gonna fall off or." It's not strapped on correctly. If you hit a bump, it could kind of like you're gonna fall off.
Many things can go wrong.
Many things can go wrong, but in Mexico, it won't go wrong. The guy drove home. I'm sure he got there safe. He unloaded the pipe. You know, it was like about 20 feet long. Like
and
it was long.
And if it went wrong, well, too bad.
Too bad. He would just stop. He would stop the entire road, and he would just be like, "Listen, I gotta strap this thing back on."
Yeah.
And you know what? Everybody would understand, and that's the thing.
Oh yeah, everyone would be like, "Yeah, man, go you
do you there."
You do you.
Yeah. You know.
Dice que lo que le llama la atención es que aquí la gente nada le da pena. Dice, yo vi a una persona que llevaba una pedazo de tubería grande, ¿eh? Was it metal or plastic? Plastic, right?
It was plastic. It was
like
plastic.
Like PVC, right?
PVC pipe. Like it was about 20 foot long, and the car was like, you know, whatever, like
una pieza, una tubería de plástico, esas de PVC, de no sé, 5 o 7 metros de largo. Y se la puso encima a su bocho, un Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah.
Y la amarró, y pues ahí la llevaba, ¿no? A la calle, a su casa. Y le digo, oye, ¿eso es legal en Canadá? Y me dice, no creo, dice, seguramente alguien te detendría y te diría de que, oye, pues aquí eso vas a causar un accidente y va a ser problemático. Y dice, pero aquí en México, la persona se fue con su tubería amarrada a su carro en la parte de arriba y pues, probablemente llegó a su casa bien y pues le digo, es que tenía que hacerlo porque, pues cómo se la lleva, ¿no? De otra manera, mismo que la doble.
And like another thing too is there's in Mexico there's a lot of cars that what we would call in Canada beaters. So it's basically like, just like everybody's car is just like beat up, like they banged it in an accident or in a parking lot or something like that, and they just don't even have the audacity to like paint it or anything. They just put like body filler on it, they sand it, and they're like, whatever, let's just move on with life. Or sometimes they'll just leave it the way it is and just keep banging it up, you know? And if you have a car that you don't even want anymore, I've seen a lot of cars, they just left on sidewalks basically, or like on side roads, and they'd just be stripped apart. You know, it'd be like almost like a scrapyard on the road.
It happens.
And I'm just like, it's just like, okay, what do you do with the rest now? All the parts are out, and then like the frame is.
So
there.
that's only the body.
The body, you know, not even the seats. The seat belts are out. Everything, just the metals.
Dice que algo que pasa que dice, aquí veo carros que están muy fregados. Dice, esos carros, dice, a la gente lo choca y pues ahí medio los compone y pues ya de vuelta a las andadas, porque pues la gente tiene cosas que hacer, ¿no? Dice que la gente no le pone demasiado énfasis a que sus carros estén perfectos. Dice, y luego cuando ya no los quiere, dice, en ocasiones lo dejan ahí en la calle y pues la gente, o no sé, las pandillas o no sé quién, llega y se lleva las partes. Dice, y luego nada más queda el puro cuerpo del carro ahí y pues luego ya qué haces, ¿no? So yeah, man, that's funny.
Yeah, you know, just it's stuff that you would never see in Canada, but you see it here in Mexico, and it's the most normal thing ever. You know, it's just like, it's like breathing almost.
Yeah, that happens, yes, for sure. I've seen a few of those.
And it's different every time. It's not the same every time. It's just like, if you can dream it, it probably happens here. Every time I say, I can't believe this is happening right now.
You know, like people in North America, let's say Americans, USA, they always like brag about freedom.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, the land of the free. You know what I mean?
Land of the free. Yeah.
That's what they say. But if they actually want to experience freedom, they have to come to one of these countries.
They have to.
And that includes Mexico in one of those countries.
Absolutely.
Le digo que Estados Unidos siempre presume la libertad, ¿no? La libertad, la tierra de la gente libre, ellos dicen. Digo, pero si realmente quieres experimentar libertad, tienes que venir a un país como estos. En estos países realmente puedes hacer muchas cosas que en esos otros países más controlados, con más regulaciones, no puedes hacer. Okay, next. I actually want to bring up my sister, Karen.
Sure.
Because I want her to ask you some questions from other perspective. She doesn't know you that well.
Okay.
And she's probably gonna ask you something related more like to Canada and what's to be a Canadian, what's to see in Canada and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So let's bring Karen and let's see how it goes. Are you?
Absolutely. I'm absolutely okay with that.
Okay,
Let's do it.
So let's do that. Les digo que voy a traer a Karen para que le haga algunas preguntas también. Quiero que Karen venga, que no lo conoce muy bien, y que le haga preguntas desde otro punto de vista totalmente. Entonces, ahorita regreso.
Hola, mi nombre es Karen. Yo soy la super famosa del video del whisky. Vamos a continuar con la segunda parte de la entrevista.
Hello, my name is Karen, and you might know me because of the whiskey video we did before. So I'm gonna pick up the interview from here.
Dije muy famosa.
I said very famous.
Si los mexicanos queremos ir a Canadá, digamos, la ciudad más importante para estar ahí en tiempo de relajación y la ciudad más importante como para turista, ¿cuáles serían las que tú recomendarías?
Okay, so if I want to go to Canada, what city would you recommend for relaxation? Or what city would you recommend for just to go visit as a tourist, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's one city that covers both of that, actually.
Okay.
Creo que hay una ciudad que comparte, que es buena para las dos opciones.
I would recommend going to a city in Alberta called Banff.
Una ciudad en Alberta que se llama Banff.
And basically, it's a mountain city, and it's an outdoor city. And one activity I'd recommend there is probably just going camping.
Una actividad que yo recomendaría en Banff es ir de campamento.
Now, camping there, in Banff specifically, is very organized. There's a lot of trails there. There's really nice lakes. There are a lot of just outdoor activities that you can do.
Okay.
And you know what? It almost is like, I would say, what we call glamping in a way, where it's like, it's a glamorous kind of camping.
Porque en Banff hay muchas actividades al aire libre que puedes hacer, hay caminos que puedes recorrer. Dice, es casi como decir glamping, que es como acampar, pero con glamour.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, you would experience, I think, Canada at a 360-degree kind of level if you went there. You'd have the mountains, you have the outdoors, you have the fishing, you have the hiking, and you have a really nice time doing camping there.
Dice, yo creo que experimentarías Canadá desde una perspectiva de 360 grados. Están los lagos, está el acampamento, está ir a pescar, tiene todo.
Yeah.
Okay. Muy bien. Las ciudades que más conoce un mexicano, al menos lo más popular en redes sociales y como para conocer en Canadá.
So the cities that most Mexicans know, at least from social media,
son Toronto, Vancouver, Ottawa, Quebec. ¿Qué le puedes decir al público sobre el turismo o la experiencia en ese tipo de ciudades en cuanto a cantidad de paseos que puede haber, facilidad para los turistas y costos, por ejemplo?
What can you tell people about these cities that I just mentioned regarding, like, budget concerns and like popular places to go visit, let's say?
Well, I would say there's a very famous saying is that the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Hay un famoso dicho que dice que el jugo que le puedes sacar a esto es demasiado poco para el esfuerzo que tienes que aplicar.
Yes, and it isn't, going to these cities because they're big metropolitan cities.
Estas ciudades son metropolitanas.
And you would get to do things that you would do in big metropolitan cities. Go to concerts, watch sporting events.
Puedes hacer cosas que harías en ciudades metropolitanas, ir a un concierto.
They call it sort of like a concrete jungle where you just,
de concreto.
You go see, buildings.
Vas a ver edificios.
I don't think that's what Canada really is.
Y yo realmente no creo que eso sea Canadá.
You can start at these cities, but I think you should go on the outskirts of these cities.
Luego debes salir.
And you should probably investigate these smaller communities outside of that.
Y luego ir a las comunidades más pequeñas.
One popular thing to do in North America and in Canada is to go on what they call a road trip. It's basically in your vehicle.
Es un viaje de carretera.
Basically in your vehicle, you're going to visit other cities.
Vas a ver otras ciudades.
They have a little bit more to offer and on a lower budget, I guess you can say.
Tienen más cosas que ofrecer y con poco dinero.
Okay. En cuanto a la temporada del año adecuada para visitar el país, por ejemplo, en México no estamos acostumbrados a las temperaturas extremas. ¿Cuál es la temporada como más adecuada para un turista mexicano?
So, if we talk about seasons, what is the most convenient season to go visit Canada?
Well, I mean,
please take into consideration that we as, let's say, Mexicans or like South Americans in general, we are not used to this extreme weather.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the best season would be to visit is probably what we call summer, which is somewhere between, I would say,
la mejor temporada para visitar
May,
es verano.
May and August, I would say.
Mayo, de mayo a agosto.
Basically because you don't have to bring as much winter equipment, which would have to, you would have to like layer up a little bit more and wear more things. And
tienes que poner más cosas y ponértelas encima.
And yeah, I think that would be the best season to go because that's something that you as Mexicans could resonate with.
Entonces yo definitivamente recomendaría ir en esa temporada porque pues
However,
es más fácil para mexicanos.
What I have heard of Mexicans saying is that because they spend so much time in the heat that they actually do want to come during winter time.
Lo que yo he escuchado de mexicanos es de que, pues como pasan mucho tiempo en el calor, de hecho quieren ir en invierno.
With that comes, just different clothing and a different mentality. So, I mean, it's something that you'd have to become ready for, and you have to research.
Como para vivir la experiencia, ¿no? De un invierno diferente.
Yeah, it's for Mexicans like the chance to experience a different kind of winter.
Yes, and specifically speaking for Mexicans,
Especialmente para mexicanos.
I would say that I've heard a lot of Mexicans say that they want to come during wintertime because they know what summer looks like. They know what it means to be hot.
Mexicanos que quieren venir en invierno.
So they want to know what snow is like, what kind of activities you can do in snow, what kind
Ellos quieren saber cómo es la nieve.
activities you can do in the cold, you know. So
Yeah.
so that would be something between, I would say, December and beginning of March.
Y el invierno sería algo así como entre diciembre y marzo.
¿Cuál es la parte más cara de visitar Canadá?
Okay, so what is the most expensive city in Canada?
En general, vuelos en la ciudad, la estancia, la comida, los paseos.
Accommodation, food, everything really. What's the most expensive city in Canada?
Well, that's a loaded question because, I mean,
Es una pregunta complicada.
a lot of people would say the first thing that would come to their mind is that they would say Vancouver, but in reality, the most expensive place are the most remote places in Canada, like in the Northwest Territories, for instance.
Por ejemplo, en los
or
territorios del noroeste.
Yeah.
¿Territorios franceses?
French territories.
No, Northwestern Territories, like the Northern Territories.
Son los territorios del norte.
Yes.
Okay.
So those would be the most expensive places in
Esos
Canada, but
caros.
nobody goes there because
Nadie va.
you would have no reason to go there. There'd
Que no hay
be,
motivo para ir.
nothing to see or do there. It's just simply remote.
Como
Está simplemente
que,
lejos.
¿qué ciudad podría ser lo más caro?
What kind of cities are those? Can you name a few cities that are located in the northern territories?
Yeah, you can say Whitehorse.
Okay, como Caballo Blanco, Whitehorse.
That's one that I can think of.
Esa es una que se me ocurre de momento.
En series de televisión y películas
Okay, in TV shows and movies,
muestran ciudades
they show cities
menos pobladas
not as populated.
y un poco más estilo rancho,
Yeah, they look like ranches,
como el estado de Alberta.
like the province of Alberta.
Yeah.
¿Es realmente así o solo es una perspectiva en televisión?
That's the way they are actually, or just like something that is shown in movies.
Well, in smaller cities in Alberta, there's definitely
En ciudades más pequeñas en Alberta,
a larger emphasis on ranches
énfasis más grande en ranchos,
and on farms and something like this.
y cosas así.
Now, it's not just in Alberta, it's also
solo
in
en Alberta,
Saskatchewan,
en
it's in
Saskatchewan,
Ontario,
Ontario,
it's in British Columbia.
Columbia Británica.
This is a very common thing in small
Es algo
cities
muy
because
común
that's
en
how they make
ciudades
their
pequeñas,
livelihood.
Porque así es como son las ciudades pequeñas.
Okay.
Now, there's another small caveat to this,
Y aquí hay algo interesante,
and that would be native reserves.
las reservas nativas.
Those places,
Son lugares,
in most cases are a little bit underdeveloped
en muchos lugares están
because they live
subdesarrollados.
their life there in a very traditional,
Ellos
aboriginal
De
way.
una manera muy tradicional, aborígena.
Ok, hablando de
Yes.
eso.
Okay, now that we talk about that,
En México el idioma
México,
oficial es el español.
the
Pero-
official language is Spanish,
Hay muchas culturas, hay,
but there are many cultures,
por decirlo así, como tribus
tribes,
que tienen su propio idioma.
who have their own
Nativo.
language.
En Canadá sabemos que se habla el inglés,
Canada,
inglés y
English is
francés,
the first language, and French as well.
pero ¿hay alguna tribu que tenga un idioma
Are there
nativo?
tribes who speak their own language?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Aboriginal
Sí, obviamente, los
people,
aborígenes,
they have their own language.
ellos tienen su propio idioma.
You know, one of the most common
Uno de los
languages
idiomas más
throughout
comunes
the Aboriginals is called
entre-
Ojibwe.
entre aborígenes es Ojibwe.
This is something that's very respected in Canada,
algo que es muy
and
respetado en
it's
Canadá.
you know, it's very common
Es muy
with the
común.
Aboriginals, this language.
Entre aborígenes este idioma.
Now, there's obviously other ones as well
Hay
on
otros
top of that,
también, obviamente.
but you know, French and English
Pero inglés y
are
francés
the two main
son
like
los
official
dos
languages,
principales
basically.
y oficiales.
I would say almost like Ojibwe is like a third,
Almost
like
casi Ojibwe es como un tercer,
like a third unofficial language.
un tercer idioma no oficial.
Interesante.
Yeah, it's
Yo creo
unofficial,
que-
very unofficial.
Mucha parte de la audiencia, al igual que yo, no conocía este dato, ¿no? Sobre la cultura en Canadá.
Many people like me didn't know this about Canada.
Para la gente que no sabemos de geografía,
For us, people like us, like me, who doesn't know much about geography,
Okay.
¿Alaska es parte de Canadá?
is
No.
Alaska part of Canada?
No, I mean Alaska's really weird because
Alaska es rara.
it's obviously not part of Canada. It's
Obviamente
an
no es parte de
American
Canadá, está en
thing.
Estados Unidos.
But if you wanted to visit Alaska,
Si quieres visitar Alaska,
there's no border there.
No hay
So
frontera.
the reason there
Es
is
como
no
cruzar y ya.
there is no border because when you drive in, you have to drive back out into. You're not driving. How do I explain this? Hold
¿Cómo
on.
explico esto? Cuando
momento.
manejas, ok, un segundo, un momento.
When you're driving into Alaska,
manejas a Alaska.
you're not driving into the rest of the USA.
No manejas por el resto de los Estados Unidos.
And there's only one way out, and that's
Y
back
solo hay
into
una
Canada.
manera de salir de Alaska que es a través de Canadá.
So
Okay. Pero es
um,
parte de Estados Unidos.
Pero, so,
it's not part of
is-
Canada.
so-
it's
so Alaska is part of the United States,
It's
right?
yes, 100%.
Pero tiene
It's
que
part of the
atravesar
United
Canadá.
States.
Yeah, but you have to cross Canada in order to get to Alaska.
That's right.
Eso es correcto.
Okay. ¿Tú has visitado Alaska?
Sorry,
You've been to Alaska?
I have been to Alaska.
¿Es
Yes,
cierto
sí, he
que hay
estado en
iglús?
Alaska.
Sorry.
¿Es cierto que hay iglús?
No,
Is it true that you can find igloos?
I didn't see any igloos in Alaska.
No, yo no vi
No.
ningún iglú en Alaska, no.
Las caricaturas en México siempre plantean
Well-
que Alaska tiene puros iglús.
In cartoons, they always place igloos in Alaska. They're
Yeah.
commonly found in Alaska.
In probably a province of Nunavut,
Y
probably in
probablemente en algunas
it's
provincias,
in the, what we call the
en los
territories.
territorios,
Maybe there's an igloo there,
también hay
but
un iglú.
I haven't seen one.
Pero dice, yo no he visto ninguno.
Ok. Bueno, respecto a la cultura,
When
la
it comes
comida,
to
las
culture,
ideas,
food,
¿es fácil que un canadiense se adapte en México?
is it easy for a Canadian to adapt to Mexico?
Oh, good question. No,
No,
no.
no.
I mean, it's definitely a
quiero decir,
culture shock for a
Un choque
Canadian
cultural para un canadiense.
because, as we talked in our interviews,
Porque como
Canadians do things a
visto
little
en
bit
nuestra-
safer.
en
They do
entrevista,
things more
Los canadienses
regulated.
hacen las cosas de una manera más regulada, más
And
segura.
for Canadians, this is a little bit of a shock.
Para canadienses esto es un poco choqueante.
They almost have like a distance to the Mexican culture
Hay
because
una
it's
cierta
just
distancia hacia la cultura
almost like
mexicana.
reckless in a way and
La cultura
untrustworthy.
mexicana es un poco alocada y no de mucho no puedes
Another
confiar en lo que
another
deja.
problem in adjustament is the fact that a
Problema en
lot of North
ajuste.
Americans they do nothing but watch movies. I
Es
would
que-
say it's obviously an exaggeration.
Que muchos americanos no hacen otra cosa que ver
But the
películas.
stuff-
Obviamente es una exageración.
The stuff that is depicted in these movies
Pero las
is
cosas que ponen en
a
las
lot
en
of
las
things about
películas-
Mexico is actually bad.
que ponen en las películas de México es mala.
So, and that's why there's a problem to adjust because
Entonces
one,
hay un problema.
people's understanding of Mexico is from things from TV,
Porque las
and
cosas
another
que
thing is actually
sabemos
when
de
you
México
get
es por
there,
la
it's a
TV.
little bit different, but it's still a lot different than Canada.
Pero sí, en conclusión, las cosas que en
As we
México son muy
talked in
diferentes
our
en comparación con
interview
Canadá.
about regulation
De lo que
and
ya
all the
hablamos
other
sobre
topics. Really.
regulaciones, esas cosas.
Sí, totalmente correcto.
Yeah, totally right. You're totally right.
Yeah.
Sobre todo, digo, él desde la perspectiva legal, como un abogado,
From a legal perspective,
realmente me imagino que encuentra muchas diferencias.
like you as a lawyer, you can find many different things. I mean, there are like big differences between Canada and Mexico. Okay. Una más, Karen, una más.
Ay, nada más puedo escoger
Oh, no,
una.
no, dos más, tres más. No, no, lo que quieras, lo que quieras.
Sí, es que iba a hablar de eso de las películas, cómo pintan el país.
I want to talk about movies.
Yeah, let's talk about movies. I love movies.
Al menos en Estados Unidos,
At least in the United States.
México siempre es
Mexico.
catalogado tomando como referencia a la Ciudad de México.
Mexico is pictured by the way the city of Mexico looks like.
Pero realmente los estados de provincia o los estados afuera de Ciudad de México
But
tienen diferencias culturales.
But the states outside Mexico City are like different culturally.
Tú que ya has visitado
Now that you have visited
la capital y la provincia,
Mexico City and the other states or provinces surrounding Mexico City,
Yeah.
¿puedes detectar esas diferencias?
can you see differences?
Well, I mean, if you go out like 100-kilometer radius, I don't feel like there's differences
Que si
between,
vas 100 kilómetros alrededor de la Ciudad de México,
you
todo
know,
parece
Mexico
igual.
City and
No hay mucha
smaller ones.
diferencia.
Other than the fact that in Mexico City, it's a metropolitan kind of place,
Aparte de
and
que
it's
la Ciudad de
very
México es un lugar
stressful.
metropolitano,
Whereas, you know, if you go out to the smaller cities, just like everywhere else, like there's less stress and
en otros estados hay menos estrés porque pues,
people have less, like I said, like
gente
less regulation, less
tiene menos
rules to follow.
regulaciones, menos reglas.
I will give you one example.
Daré un ejemplo.
I know,
Conozco
you know, people who don't have a driver's license in these
gente que no
smaller
tiene
cities.
una licencia en ciudades pequeñas.
And they're not afraid to drive in these small cities
no tienen
because they
miedo a
know that the
manejar.
police won't pull them over or give them any kind of
Porque
fine.
nadie los va a detener.
Whereas once you enter things like Mexico City, my
Pero una vez
understanding is that you got to have a driver's
que
license
entras a la Ciudad de México tienes que tener una
because
licencia.
things are a little bit more serious
Porque
there.
las cosas se ponen más serias.
And
No,
they're
no,
they're
no.
they're not scared to drive, let's say, in very small cities outside of Mexico City because you know, the policing is very soft on this issue, whereas in Mexico City you would be in trouble.
Entonces en lugares más pequeños
There's
ellos
more
no
checkpoints,
tendrán-
there's more stoppages,
la
there's
gente
more
no tiene miedo
everything.
a manejar sin licencia porque la policía no los checa tanto.
Yeah.
Sí, noto esa diferencia. Por ejemplo, esta es una ciudad pequeña,
Tampico is a small city,
pero nosotros comparados con poblados o ranchos,
but
Yeah.
if you compare Tampico with some ranches,
por ejemplo, hay
small towns,
niños de 8 o 10 años
there are
manejando.
kids who are like 8 to 10 who are actually driving
A diferencia
I've seen
de
it.
Tampico.
in comparison to, well, Tampico, which, I mean, where you cannot see kids that young driving cars or trucks or whatever.
Yeah.
Pero bueno, el punto de la comparación cultural más bien era por la parte como de libertad, como de expresión, porque muchas de las notas que se dan a
So
nivel
my point
internacional,
is more like related to freedoms.
muchas de las notas que salen en televisión son de Ciudad de México en cuanto a violencia.
So most of the news that you hear are actually from Mexico City. When
Yes.
it comes to violence,
Yes.
Marchas,
yeah, like march on the streets.
protestas al gobierno.
Protest.
Protests.
There was one just recently on International Women's Day.
Ya.
Big
Pero
protest.
en ciudades pequeñas o
But in the smaller cities,
otros estados,
in some other provinces, or
realmente
states,
es una cultura menos liberal.
it's a culture which is not as liberal.
Y muchos de esos problemas que suceden en Ciudad de México
And
no
many of
pasan
those
aquí.
problems that happen in Mexico City don't really happen in smaller cities like Tampico.
Yeah, I would agree.
Sí, estoy de acuerdo.
En cuanto a la cultura, también,
When it comes to culture,
por ejemplo, ¿cómo ve una persona extranjera
how do you see as a foreigner
a las mexicanas?
Mexican women?
You really put me on the spot.
Okay, me estás,
Yeah,
me
I'll
estás aquí
answer it.
exhibiendo.
I'll answer it. I'll
Okay, yo
answer.
contestaré esta pregunta.
They are very loving and caring.
Ellas son muy amorosas y muy cuidadosas.
I feel like this sense like they stand behind their man. You know,
Yo siento que ellas apoyan a su hombre.
they are the almost like the foundation in the
Ellas son casi la
relationship
base de la
that hold it
relación.
together. I feel like there
Yo siento
is like a division of roles
hay
a
una
little
división
bit.
de roles.
That's because it just comes back to tradition,
Esto porque
really.
pues tiene que ver con la tradición.
It's got nothing to do with
No
like
tiene nada que ver con
how someone wants to do it a certain way, but
cómo alguien
it
lo quiere
just
hacer de cierta manera.
it just comes down to like
Tiene todo que ver
the
con,
way that it's always been done.
con la manera en que se han hecho las cosas por siempre.
En Estados Unidos,
In the US,
una mujer que vive allá, por lo general, puede casarse
a Mexican woman who lives there
con un hombre americano.
can marry an American man.
En Canadá puede ser similar
Is it similar in Canada?
o es más bien como chinos con chinos, mexicanos
Or
con
is more like,
mexicanos,
Chinese men with a Chinese woman,
mexicanos con mexicanas,
Mexican men with Mexican women,
canadienses con canadienses.
Canadian men with Canadian women?
No, I
She
mean,
loves to put you on the spot.
well, one thing that I do have to say is
Una cosa que
that
tengo que decir.
is America has definitely a better relationship with Mexico than Canada does.
Estados Unidos tiene una mejor relación con México de lo que
Because
tiene
there's a
Canadá.
lot of Mexicans all over in the southern United
Hay
States.
muchos
So
mexicanos
this is
en
a
el sur
very,
de Estados Unidos.
you know, like Texas, California,
Texas, California.
and even in Florida, right?
Incluso en
Okay, so
Florida.
that's the starting point.
Empecemos con eso.
In Canada,
Canadá,
all cultures
todas las culturas
are seen as acceptable in a dating sense.
son aceptables en términos de salir con ellos.
No hay discriminación.
Absolutely not.
So there's no
No.
discrimination.
Absolutely not. Zero.
Cero discriminación.
You would definitely see a lot of
Definitivamente verás
couples who are
Parejas.
definitely multicultural.
que son multiculturales.
Okay.
Yeah.
Y yo creo que por último,
Finally,
¿qué trabajos son
what kind of jobs
bien remunerados
are like well paid
para un mexicano
for a Mexican
que quiere vivir en Canadá?
who wants to live in Canada?
Any job that a Mexican would want.
Cualquier trabajo que un mexicano pueda querer.
As long as they're
Siempre y
qualified
cuando
to do the job, which
tenga
basically would just involve
las
that you would have to
cualidades
have your license transferred over to the
Correctas, por ejemplo,
Canadian
y que
thing.
tenga permisos y licencias.
Which would obviously involve some sort of,
Lo cual implica
transferring exam or whatever.
exámenes y
But as you would see in,
Como
like, let's
tú
say,
ves.
medical kind of sense, like
en
hospitals,
términos médicos,
I would say about 80%
Yo
of
diría
all the
que
doctors that work there
80% de los doctores que trabajan
are
ahí
actually just foreign.
son extranjeros.
They're either from Asia, they're
From
from
Asia,
India, from
de
Mexico,
India, México,
from the US.
Estados Unidos.
They're just from everywhere.
So in what ways have your perception of Mexico changed in the last little bit? ¿De qué manera ha cambiado tu perspectiva de México en los últimos días o meses?
Can you help me out a little bit?
Yeah, I can. How?
With what perspective?
Yeah, like things you thought about Mexico before you actually visited the country, and now that you're here.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
Mhm.
So I came to realize that it's safer than I thought it was. It's
Me he dado cuenta que es más seguro de lo que pensaba.
There's less regulation than I thought there would be.
Hay menos regulación de lo que yo esperaba.
Yeah. There's not as much drug cartel
No hay
kind
tanta
of
situación con los carteles.
like this kidnapping that that is
Secuestros.
depicted on movies that we think it is.
Como lo que uno ve en las películas y uno piensa que es real.
And people generally here are doing pretty well for themselves.
Y en general la gente aquí pues le va bastante bien.
And there's also the slums where there's people who aren't doing well for themselves.
Y están
too.
esos barrios pobres donde la gente no le va
Yeah.
muy bien.
So there's a lot of that going on, but overall it's pretty happy country, I would say, because
Y en general diría que es un país feliz.
because they focus on the things that are important, like family, and they don't focus on like the materialistic things.
Y la gente se enfoca, o sea, los mexicanos nos enfocamos en las cosas que importan como la familia y no tanto las cosas materiales.
Yeah.
Oye, hablando sobre comida.
Sí, bastante. Sí, sí, sí. She's asking if we talk about food.
Es que no,
Yeah.
no hice ninguna pregunta sobre comida.
Yeah, we talked about food.
What about final thoughts before you leave Tampico? Because you are flying like literally in a few hours.
Yeah, I am flying.
Okay, so
in a
give me
few
your
hours.
the highlights of your visit to Tampico.
Tampico.
Dime lo más importante que te sucedió ahora que viniste a Tampico.
I think it's just really cool how, from what I've been told, anybody off the street could just go pick off, fruits off the trees, coconuts, bananas, oranges, mangoes. I think that's something interesting.
La gente puede pararse y cortar mangos y puede cortar cocos y bananas.
Tampico specifically has a very strange
Tampico tiene una situación un poco extraña de...
has a very strange range of animals here. You have the alligators.
Okay, hay un rango de animales que hay aquí en Tampico.
You have these
Cocodrilos.
You have these raccoons that are very popular
Mapaches.
specifically in Tampico, whereas in other parts of Mexico you would have things like, there'd be a heavy emphasis on like the fish and like the monkeys and
En otras partes de México hay mucho énfasis en los
and like
monos,
the lizards and geckos and stuff like that, right?
Ajá, lagartijas, lagartos, iguanas y pescado, dijo también, peces.
So that's the vibe I get about Tampico, but Tampico is also obviously a beach city, so they have a beautiful kind of beach spring break culture here.
Y si Tampico obviamente tiene la playa y tiene una cultura de las vacaciones de Semana Santa.
I wish I can stay here a little bit longer, but this is definitely a place where, seafood lives and breathes here.
Dice, lamentablemente ya me tengo que ir, pero dice, aquí la situación de los mariscos es muy popular.
And then again, Tampico to me is like a medium-sized city. It has everything you need, but it's more on the calm side of things, where you can still enjoy that kind of small city lifestyle, but in a big city way, if that makes any sense.
Dice que básicamente que Tampico que puedes disfrutar de las cosas de una ciudad pequeña, pero tiene todo lo de una ciudad grande de todas maneras.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after that, there's nothing else for me to say other than thank you for joining me for this very particular and fun interview we had.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and I actually had a lot of fun, like right now, and also had a lot of fun earlier and yesterday because we did a few more things. Digo, gracias por todo lo que hicimos. Fue divertido esta noche, pero también lo que hicimos ayer y I don't know, it's been fun. I mean, I really appreciate that you had the time, you made the time to come visit.
Yeah, and I appreciate the invite, and I have to say, Mexican hospitality is amazing. It's like they take care of you like they're your own family.
Dice que gracias a la hospitalidad mexicana, Porque dice, te hacen sentir como que estás en casa con tu propia
And it's
familia.
not the way it's depicted on movies or anything like that. The Mexicans are very friendly, and I feel like I'm at home when I'm here.
Dice, y no es como en las
So-
películas, los mexicanos de hecho son bastante amables.
So, I think like after this experience, like I was supposed to go home a little bit earlier, but I do want to extend it as much as I possibly can.
Dice, yo originalmente me iba a casa más pronto, pero ahora trataré de extender mi experiencia aquí en México.
And one thing that I definitely got out of this interview is that, I learned a few things,
Y algo que saco de esta entrevista es que aprendí algunas cosas.
even just in conversation, like, just going over the finer details of, the differences between a North American lifestyle and the Canadian lifestyle.
Dice, he aprendido cosas
Or,
como de la
sorry, the
entrevista.
Mexican and the Canadian lifestyle, that's right.
En la manera que se vive, ya digo, cuando entramos a la conversación, cuáles son las diferencias en la manera que se vive en Canadá o Estados Unidos y México.
Yeah, so I thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
So, we did it, buddy.
We did it.
Yeah, until next time.
Until next time.
Okay,
And we
so-
will be back next time.
Hasta la siguiente. I think there's nothing else to say, so nos vemos en una siguiente emisión. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos
Muchas
hasta el
gracias.
final.
Adiós.
Hasta la próxima.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.